All right, Brian, why don't
Hey,
you?
hey everyone. How's it going? Welcome to Local Contractor Marketing with Rena and Brian. Um, Rena, how's your week going? You're
Uh,
out of town.
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Been running around with Women in Paint at the PCA conference. We have been living it up, the late nights, karaoke, educate. I mean, that's the fun stuff. Education, presentations, community connection. It has been a 10 out of 10 experience so far, and it's only halfway through.
Is this your first time in Nashville?
It is. It's my first time in Nashville.
Oh my goodness, Nashville is such a blast. It
When
sounds
were
like you're
you
having.
here last? Didn't you
I
have a
was,
conference out here?
yeah, I was there about a month ago, and then we were actually right by Vanderbilt. I was literally across the street from the Vanderbilt University, and then so like right downtown, and then I've also stayed at the Betcher Mansion in Nashville, which is incredible. That was an experience.
Wasn't
But
that
no,
for an SEO event or
yeah,
something?
it was for an SEO mastermind that I spoke at. But Nashville is always a good time. Anywhere on Broadway is just it's on fire. Like it's a good time. Um, but yeah, that sounds amazing. Women in Pain is going well.
It is. There are a lot of influential, badass business owners. I'm I feel at home here. There's so many
Nice.
women who are have that business mindset, some in-game strategy already in place, others not. And seeing the light bulbs come on when we have these in-depth conversations about buying and selling, building your team, what to have in place, when structures, it lights me up.
That is awesome. So for today, let's talk a little bit about that, the buying and selling of a business, kind of what we would look for as a marketing company, and going through and talking about like the business health, the reputation.
Mhm.
Let's talk about some of the key takeaways that you've had, and then also some that we would specifically encourage businesses to look at.
Yeah, I when I look at a business that I'm going to purchase, I always look for the five pillars. And if these items aren't in place, like a business owner isn't truly out of the business and able to work on the business, they're always kind of working in the business to some extent. And
Right.
that's having the technician doing the work, finances, ops, sales, and marketing. Those are the five things that we look for. And as a business owner, it's my responsibility to put all of those aspects in place with qualified individuals like Brian,
Yep.
COO, CTO. Like you handle ops, you've got a
Yep.
lockdown on that, right? You're
Yeah.
like, stay out of my ops, Rena. And I'm like, I will gladly stay out of your ops. I can do it. I understand it. I know how to get the results. Yet my time is more upfront with sales and marketing.
Right.
So understanding our roles and knowing who's good at what and where to put individuals on our team for the execution. Like, that's what we've been spending a lot of time talking about here because a lot of the women out here also have the finance or they don't know exactly how to price things yet so that there's meat on the bone and a healthy enough ROI so that an investor or someone who wants to acquire or just when they're ready to sell or pass it down to a family member, like these are the things that we need to look for and measure. So those are just the
Absolutely.
basic structure items.
Awesome. Yeah, no,
How
and
about you? When
I,
you
that's
step
actually really
into looking
similar
at
to
the
kind of what I
company?
look for. One of the things that I look for is obviously the EBITDA, right? Earnings
Yeah.
before taxes, amortization, and debt, or depreciation. Um, the thing that I would look for is also what kind of systems do they have in place, right? If it's a situation where they're heavily reliant on paid ads, for example, and this I've run into this on several occasions, it's not really a business that I would be interested in acquiring, or a business that is really self-sufficient, because you're constantly having to feed that machine of paid ads. And if you stop that in any way, shape, or form, the business dries up. To me, that's not a great way to do it. Now, there is a time and a place for paid ads, and there's a lot of it where it comes to that business expansion, business growth, amplification of what your business is. But if all of your leads and all of your business is built around just paid ads, you're really kind of building on shaky ground, right? You want to
Uh-huh.
have a solid uh, entity positioning. You want to have a solid brand, something that you can kind of lean into in the event that Google gets crazy and raises ad prices, or Meta decides to start filtering out your business, no matter what it is, you have that additional source of revenue. I would also take a look at how the business is really set up. Do you have contracts? How well is that structured? Um, Beyond that, I would probably also look at, obviously the books. How
Hmm.
is the business being managed? Um, I've had both the privilege and the headaches of working with businesses that definitely do not have that. It really surprises me. I've worked with a couple businesses that claim that, like, oh, we're $1 million business, we're 7-figure business, but upon closer inspection of their books, they had $1 million that came through the business, but because of either paid ads or unmanaged expenses, they were actually only netting about 200,000.
Yeah.
And that's at that point, you really have to question, well, is it $1 million business, or are you just saying you have revenue that passes through the business at 200K, or, at 7 figures? To
Yeah.
me, that's one of the biggest concerns that I do tend to see. And a mark, in my opinion, of true business success would be, what's your liquid cash look like? What's your liquidity?
Hmm.
And, rather than just saying you're a 7-figure business, yes, if it was a 7-figure business, 8-figure business, and you have healthy profit margins, you're looking at some decent numbers there. That to me says that you're in a lot better position than someone that's just seeing money come in the door and 99% of it go right back out the door. It's just not a good way to go. So
Check
for
this
me,
out.
that's what I look at. Yeah.
So you reminded me, I've been, okay, I receive, I receive text messages, emails. They're from business coaches, CPAs, financial advisors saying, hey, there's this company, it's for sale. It happens frequently. I love it. I love looking at businesses. I love the back end to see if they're actually a sellable digital asset and what it is, how much meat is on the bone, right? I remember, okay, I've got a business coach who is sending me a company here from this event who wants to sell, right? And they want to sell, they know they want to sell, but they don't know if they're able to sell. And I just asked them a couple of questions about their digital assets and what they have in place. They've been around 30 years, like second generation company. And I'm like, you have right now, you have the reputation, you have the brand, that's great. They don't have the key things in place. So I'm like, we can help you go from what like would be a lower offer to a like three to
The
five
multiplier.
million dollar offer just as a result of having some things in place. And I've seen companies. Another business coach was talking to me about how someone bought a company and they were an like uneducated buyer. They thought they were buying something good.
Oh
And
man.
because they got like sold on it, there wasn't enough meat on the bone and like they're trying to
Yeah.
save and salvage from the other side of things. It also has a lot to do with the business broker or how the deal's going in, going down, and understanding the numbers that we are looking at. Like I make offer, I love buying businesses, right?
Mhm.
I geek out on it. I've been doing it for years. It's the easiest way for me to expand my digital footprint, increase our overall revenue and bottom line, and get the payout over time as well. And to where the business owner like is like, yeah, I did it, exit strategy. So it's a symbiotic relationship, but I've looked at these and I'm like, I appreciate you, I value you. It's not worth what you're saying it's worth here are the reasons why, or it is worth what you're saying it is worth, and here's the full price offer.
Yeah.
It's so important to know your numbers and to ensure that you have the right things in place so that it is a win-win scenario. It isn't just like, it's done, I'm out. There's a handoff that gets to be done. There's some nurturing that gets to be done, unless it's just being cannibalized,
Yeah.
right? That's not what a lot of people want for their legacy. So,
And I think that you bring up a good point there on legacy. It's how do you want, because one of the things that I know we've talked about is making sure there's continuity between when as a business is happening, number one, the business owner needs to be out of the business, not in it, right? Working the day to day, where there is actually those processes and systems in place. Beyond that, one of the things that I know we've talked about is when there are digital assets, be it an online presence, a email list, actually digital assets, a website, right? Um, Having those things in place do add to that multiplier because it's almost like building, you know, for a lot of especially home contractors, local contractors, things like that. It's essentially the digital assets you can think of in a very similar way to having a fleet of trucks, right? It's still an asset that you can build upon that is worth something. And when you go to sell the business, that's something that can then be transferred over. One thing that I do recommend also any business owner to start with, and I honestly, it's probably the biggest screw up that I've made in the past, is not starting your email list soon enough, right? Not starting
mhm.
the email list or the opt-ins where if Meta or Google or TikTok or whomever else, whatever your platform is, Instagram, right? If that went just completely south and sour overnight, right? Having an email list allows you the opportunity to reach out to those people. It's your Rolodex, right?
Yeah,
I've definitely stuck by the idea that your network is your net worth.
yeah.
And the more that the better connected you are, the more, you know, I know a guy kind of a thing, or I know a gal kind of a scenario. Having that is absolute gold. And
Mhm.
also being able to refer people, right?
Oh, yeah.
From a strategic point of view, oftentimes I see businesses where it's like, well, we can't take on any more business, or that isn't a good fit for our business, and that's okay. Not every customer or prospect or situation is a good fit for every business. However, expanding that network, if there's a company, if there's a client that comes to us and is like, "Hey, I have this much money, this is what I can do," it may not be a good fit for us, but we probably know someone who could help them out based on their particular budget, or at least set realistic expectations and say, "Hey, even the like most inexpensive people that we know are going to cost this much money." So I think that really tapping into that, doing your email list, making sure that the health of the business is that it is well connected within the community, within the industry itself. Things like women in paint, right? Having those connections is absolutely key.
They are, Brian. I love this. I love this community. I love that I have access to knowledge and people who are like the best of the best and on top of the world with their company. They're also very well connected
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, business owners, growers, scalers. I was sitting in a group, we were discussing about how to go from 4 million to 10 million in revenue for scaling.
Yeah.
And the level of conversations that we were able to have about how our team in the beginning isn't the team that you get in the middle massive scale growth phase. Like how sometimes you need to let go of that baseline that you had in order to bring in the skilled technical. And I'm not saying let go as in fire, I'm saying let go of them in the role that they were previously in to reposition them within the company where it makes sense based on their skill set, but to hire the people who are going to help take a company from 7 figures to 8 figures. And I'm sitting there with all of these other women business entrepreneurs. They're doing it. Not only are they doing it, like they're doing 3 mil, 6 mil.
That's
One of them
awesome.
doubled from 3 to 6 in a year. The strategies that are involved. Oh, it's like, I was like, you're speaking my love language. Oh my gosh, so happy in this conversation. Like, yes, let's go, let's dive in, let's talk, right?
That's awesome.
Such high level and detailed conversations about how it works and why. Geeked out to the max. And Brian, you talk a lot with other agency owners.
Mhm.
Like they have massive books of business and well, like, what are some of the things that, from a slightly different perspective, what are some of the things that you get to dive into on that angle with them?
A lot of it is process, in all honesty. That's probably the biggest thing, and to kind of, also add to what you were saying, it's it's the idea that you do need to let go and have those processes in place. Being able to understand that you can't be the jack of all trades and the master of none, right? There are things that everyone is going to have a special skill or a superpower, right? And being able to tap into that while also letting go of saying, you know what, that's probably either not my favorite, I'm not good at it, and be okay with that. Be okay understanding, like, personally, I absolutely hate having to send out invoices. It's like the bane of my existence. I absolutely love the money coming in, and I love, the net effect of that. But to send out an invoice and follow up with it, and then, continue to like be bill collector and all that, like, that's just not something I appreciate or, enjoy doing. But that's
I don't
okay.
mind.
A business, a business needs that. And so that may be
Yeah,
where we would partner with someone, where we would go, hey, Rena, this is something that, you're
yeah,
great at. Or if there's a company that you can hire out and be like, hey, these guys
outsource
handle it
it.
all for, those are things that I tend to see with a lot of agency owners even and businesses where
Mhm.
it's understanding that the process has to be in place. And when you can identify those gaps, I think a lot of it, especially when it comes to agency owners, is um, a lot of people want to hold on to, all of their cards close to their chest, right?
Yeah.
And when you're working with the team, or if you're wanting to scale and get to those larger figure numbers, you do have to have people in place that are able to, take the torch, run with it, and actually pick up the pieces, right? Being able to have someone that can pick up, and double your time or 10x your time, right? Having someone that's more skilled at potentially doing door knocking, or someone that's more skilled with, in the idea of painting, prep work. Maybe someone's really good at that, and then you send, or they're lower wage and they're a comparable, uh, fit to what your expectations are. And if you have those expectations clearly defined and set out, you could have maybe an apprentice or a junior level person go out, start doing all of your prep work. And then that way, as the business owner, or when your technician arrives, that's actually maybe a higher wage, they can just get right to it instead of having to do the menial work that could be potentially done by a lower wage or lower skilled individual.
That taps into another part of the business and the business building and ties into the reputation portion as well.
Totally.
Because you're starting to talk about the technician and the person who's actually handling the operations that is client facing
Yeah.
during the work being performed process. And that's part of the reputation and brand and having good SOPs in or standard operating procedures in place
Yes.
so that the alignment with the company values and who we are, like our own personal brands, like that they're in alignment so that the client will leave a good review
Yep.
which then everybody sees and affects the overall value of the business long term.
Totally. Totally. And I love the fact that that you bring up the SOPs, because that's one of the things that I think does differentiate great businesses from mediocre businesses.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that, like, there is a specific process. We know that time after time that we do this, here's what's going to happen. And that, in all honesty, could be a very unique selling proposition for a company like a painting contractor, right? We have a checklist that we know. We came in, we do this, we mask off, we tape off, we do all this. Could does does your competition have a checklist or have some kind of process that they follow? Or are they just going in there and oops, 3 times out of 10 times they forgot to take off their shoes in a house or to properly mask off something, right? I get it that if you're day in and day out working on the same thing, you're probably going to be pretty good at it. But having a like an actual checklist that you can go through and just double check your work and make sure that it is up to standard. I mean, you look at any company, be it fast food chains like McDonald's, or you look at very successful contractors or anything like that, they're going to have that process and that checklist that they can say, yep, check, 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 check. There's no way that the customer is not going to get what they paid for or that they expected, because we have the process. This is exactly what they get, how they get it. And, if you're just flying by the seat of your pants, things get forgotten. I mean, I've been doing digital marketing for almost 20 years now, and there's still things where having that checklist is like, oh yeah, we had to skip that one previously in the system, but we came back, we fixed it, made sure it was done, and that's saved our butts. I can't tell you how many times, like, just being able to go through and actually confirm, yes, that was completed. Check, that was completed. Check, this
People
one done.
forget,
Check. Yeah.
like, people forget. I forget. There are like when I speak, when I present, I will have very specific things that I go over. People retain less than 20% of that. I make it fun, I make it interactive, I make it so people are talking and giving me answers, so they'll
Yeah.
retain just a little bit better. And then like even the subject matter that I talk about
Yeah.
changes and is no longer relevant from week to week sometimes, which is why I'm always updating it. And like if I hadn't done my makeup for so many years, like I have to make sure it's a process. It's every single step just for my makeup. Okay, I don't have an actual checklist. If I'm not looking at my face, like I could forget to do something sometimes.
Totally.
There are things that we do routinely and we think we know, and then we forget a step. And when we forget that step, when I'm not wearing my makeup or like mascara or something, it's noticeable. It's obvious. It's not on my face. Like that's the exact same. And
Yeah.
some things aren't as noticeable and as obvious when you look in and zoom in and look for that attention to detail. The SOPs are there as a protection piece.
Absolutely.
Things stay consistent and stay the same. So yeah, you're good with SOPs. You've been phenomenal with SOPs.
Well,
Like
thank
you're
you.
the SOP commander.
Yeah,
Like,
they help. Like,
write an SOP for me,
it's
please.
just for me, it's a lot of why SOPs, and they don't have to. I think a lot of people do have, as they're building a business, and again, these are sellable assets, right? With your business, that if you do have these things in place, I think a lot of people think when they think of SOPs, they're like, oh, this is so laborious and so intense. It doesn't have to be that way. It's like the typical outline that we go with is what's the goal or purpose, give me the steps and the basic outcome that we're trying to achieve with this, right? So if we're looking at an SOP uh, for putting on your makeup or going to present for a do a presentation for a conference, the goal is, here's the lesson I want them to take away from this. Here's the steps and how we're going to get to it. We're going to do this. We're going to talk about this. We're going to do, what are the overall goals? We want to have point one, and then reinforce it with facts and stories. Point two, reinforce it with facts and stories. Now the details of that can change, as far as the minutia and getting into the more granularity of things, but the overall process in that kind of template, the form and the structure, that never changes. It's always the same thing, which provides that consistent output. But again, using the example of like your makeup or something like that, it may be blue eyeshadow versus a more natural eyeshadow, right? Those are the details. That's the minutia that could change.
The whole outlook. Or you put your foundation on first. You can't put on your blush and then your foundation. You have to put on
There
the
is a
foundation first,
process,
then the blush. You want to brush your teeth before you do your lipstick. Like
right?
they're just things that make sense. And even though they make
Exactly.
sense to us inexperienced people with makeup of all ages who aren't used to doing it, like they might be doing it like, oh, what did I miss? What did I skip? What did I forget? What did I not do? Video
Yep.
tutorials, SOPs, all the same, how it works and why. Like every on the smallest granular level outwards to beyond. And that's one of the ways that we
Absolutely.
control our reputation as well and can support
Absolutely.
our reputation.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, I know we're kind of rolling up on the end of our weekly video call here. Is there anything else you want to add? It sounds like you're just having an amazing time out in Nashville. I do hope that you get to make more connections and get to meet some really cool people. It sounds like you've already been doing that, and uh, you've got what, another day or two out there?
We have today and tomorrow for the
Nice.
conference. And then my daughter and husband are flying out. We're gonna trick or treat out here and connect to
Nice.
other network digital marketers and companies out here as well after.
Sounds great. That sounds like an amazing time. Well, I won't keep you. Again,
Okay,
this is
Brian.
local contractor marketing with Rena and Brian, and we hope to see you guys next week. Have a
Have an
great one.
amazing week. See you, BK.
All right.